Hey there, it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. We all know what that means. Another riveting episode of Behind Breaking Bond. You've got a bunch of beautiful Christmas trees in here.
Yeah, we do. It's Andy Kahn, Director of Victim Services, Crime Stoppers. I've been in Austin the last few weeks, so it's good to be back. And Saturday, we had our 29th Memorial Annual Holiday Tree Ceremony. So in the back here, these are trees that are sadly decorated with personalized ornaments and pictures of homicide victims. And sadly, we got 4 trees filled.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And it's got to be nice for families. At least your loved ones being recognized and they're on a tree. And when I walked in today, you said, you'll recognize some faces. And I sure did. I mean, I walked around and there were people that I had done stories on with their relatives. And, it's a difficult time of year for a lot of folks, but it's just nice to know that everybody is remembered.
No holidays especially for families who lost a loved one, a homicide. And we had a lot of new families that were here. This was their first time ever experiencing something like that. And it's what we call, all of a sudden you've got an empty chair at your table. So it's a way for us to bring everybody together during the holiday season, let everybody know that you're not alone in this, and we're going to help you through your journey of criminal justice. There were law enforcement officials from the Sheriff's Department, HPD, District Attorney's Office. There were elected officials here and victim advocates as well. So it was all big one community coming together supporting homicide survivors.
I mean, that is kind of the big thing, is to let folks know you're not alone. There are people in the fight with you, and there are people that are on your side.
No, there's families here that have been with us for 30 some odd years, and there were families here. This was their first year that they lost a loved one. So it's a way to let people know that this group is here to support you. And actually the parents of murdered children and surviving family members of homicide, their monthly meeting actually is tonight. So if you're watching this and you feel like coming out, we'll be here from 7 to 9.
That's great. Joining us today, it's been a while. Introduce yourself, Ken.
I'm Ken Neely, the Vice President of the Houston Police Officers Union.
How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank
Good.
you for having us.
We had the election. We had the runoff Saturday. A lot of folks that the union had endorsed won.
That's correct. We did. We screened everyone, looked at the best interests of the Houston Police Department, and as well as the citizens and people that we were sworn to protect. And we saw how we could work with them collaboratively moving forward, and we endorsed those, and a vast majority of them came out victorious in the runoff election.
When you do a screening, what's it like? Give us a kind of example what it's like.
Typically, initially they meet the executive board, the president, past executive director, and the vice presidents of the union. We'll speak to them, and then we take them to the entire board, the elected board members of the Houston Police Officers Union, and we like to hear their visions, their ideals, and their goals.
Do you do it like, are they alone? Or is there the person they're running against? Do you do them both at the same time? Or?
No, we do everyone individually. We let them
Sure.
on their own merits individually. After we hear everyone, when we have multiple candidates seeking our endorsement, we'll make a determination of who we decide to endorse there afterwards.
I mean, obviously, but being the police union, you all are looking at where candidates stand on public safety, on crime, right?
Absolutely. That's the biggest concern for us, is the safety of our citizens. All the police officers took an oath to protect the citizens of Houston, and collaboratively with our city council and the mayor, we want to work in conjunction to make sure that our citizens are safe and we provide great services for them.
Why'd you all end up picking John Whitmire?
We thought we'd had a long-term relationship with him as a state rep and a senator in Austin over the years. He's been very supportive of the Houston Police Department and all law enforcement in the area. We thought his vision, where he can make the city safer and provide better services, we thought that was the best fit for us, and we wholeheartedly supported him and endorsed him.
And when you look at his background as a state senator, I mean, criminal justice is sort of that's his wheelhouse.
That is definitely his wheelhouse. We worked with him over years on certain issues and laws that have recently been passed in the state. And we thought by having a better relationship with him moving forward, it'd be great for us. And we thought that was the best candidate to represent the Houston Police Officers Union and provide the best safety and services for the citizens of Houston.
And if you remember, one of the things he said when he was here, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was like, I'm going to start now. I want to hit the ground running. I mean, he was ready to go, wasn't he?
There's a quote right here and it was done by, I think when he interviewed with Greg Rugen of your station, he says, I want them to know if they're in Houston and they do a crime, we're coming after, especially violent repeat offenders, fugitives, and fugitives that are charged with murder or capital murder. We need to be aggressive, and we'll do that from day one. That to me says all about kind of the change of, the scenario at City Hall. And I think one of the things that we at Crime Stoppers, singled out with now Mayor-elect Whitmire was recognizing that there's a problem here.
Yeah.
And that's just reality. And it's just, the way things are right now, and especially from law enforcement and from you guys, the morale and everything that has been just pretty much beaten up and decimated, and then continuing to arrest the same offenders over
That's
and over.
gotta
and
just
over
be so
again.
frustrating.
It is for the hardworking men and women of the Houston Police Department, especially investigators, patrolmen. They take pride in their work. They like doing a great job. Making an arrest of someone, especially a violent offender who poses the most risk and danger for our citizens. And sometimes they have them arrested and get bond and they're being re-released.
Right.
And upon release, committing sometimes those same crimes, that even more heinous and egregious crime. Sometimes a little disappointing and discouraging for our officers, but that has never wavered. Our men and women have never
They
wavered.
keep doing it right.
We still keep continuing to work, provide the great service to all of our citizens. It's just a little frustrating, but it does not prevent our guys from doing a great job.
Right. And of course, this came up in the last few years where people would say, well, why doesn't Mayor Whitmire do something about these judges letting these people out on bond? He can't do that. That's not his job. And as mayor, I mean, Whitmire can like talk to him if he wants to, but there's really nothing that he or anybody, right, as the mayor of Houston can do to tell judges not to let people out on multiple bonds.
And unfortunately, the mayor of the city of Houston does not have the ability to hold judges accountable for their actions. We can work collaboratively with them, but those decisions are based on the voters.
Right.
The voters make the decision on who's placed in court, those judges, or during the county elections, and the voters and the citizens of Harris County make the determination.
That's right.
But you do have an enormous bully pulpit.
That's right.
And the first mayor that brought me in as a victim advocate in the
Lanier.
mayor's office, Bob Lanier,
Yeah.
that was his pulpit, because at that time, crime was incredibly rising in Houston in the early 90s, mainly because of a prison overcrowding situation.
Right.
Offenders only served 1 month for every year they were serving. And one of your officers that I got to know his family very well, Jim Irby,
Yeah.
that was murdered by a career habitual offender who did 13 months of a 15-year sentence for sexual assault of a child, and he had convictions yay long, but Bob Lanier made at that time when he was elected, crime the issue, and he spoke out against it.
Right.
And things changed. So I think you can see similar parallels with Mayor-elect Whitmire.
Well, and really, I think we've got to give some credit to Mayor Turner, because before the big election, he had a press conference. We were doing breaking bond. And he basically, during this press conference, says, nobody should be out on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bonds. You remember that? I mean, we used it to make a promo, because, I mean, it's like we've been harping on that, and the mayor was agreeing that that's wrong. I have this argument so much with people where, well, the Constitution grants everybody a bond. It does. Everybody should get a bond, right? Where in the Constitution does it say I can have 8 bonds or 10 bonds or 12 bonds? It doesn't say that.
It does not.
So, yeah. So one of the issues one of the bills that we passed, and Senator Whitmire, that we testified in this committee, was now charging offenders who are on parole, probation, and bail who remove their ankle monitors.
Yeah.
And I've seen about 8 some odd cases now that have been filed on that, but yeah, there used to be a problem, and I used to read you guys posts saying, the defendant that we taken into custody was wearing his ankle monitor at the time or had removed his ankle monitor as well. So I do think things are trending in the right direction. Our data has clearly shown that. Is there a lot more that we can be doing? Absolutely. So, that's where I think with new administration, new blood, new ways of thinking, you have a lot of new city council members that also ran on the crime. And I think the people of Houston made it very clear by the resounding victory that
was the number one issue, right?
that was it.
Yes.
So I think that message resonates not just with the city, but it's got to resonate with the county as well, because, Houston is part of Harris County and a rather big part of Harris County. So open, yeah.
When this happens, what do you all, do you have a meeting with Whitmire to kind of sit down and figure out what the first moves will be for HPD?
HPOU, again, we work collaboratively with our command staff. Chief Fenner has a wonderful, fantastic staff, and they have the initiative, and they want to reduce crime. Chief Fenner is a cop's cop. He started out as a cop, so he's a
And
cop's
Whitmire, in the past, Whitmire has basically said he thinks Chief Fenner should continue.
That's what he said, and we're hopeful he continues that. He's a great chief. He's been fantastic with us. I think they'll work out some strategies. I know Mayor Whitmire elect and some of the incoming council members, like Andy said, use crime reduction as their platform.
Yeah.
We think with a invigorated command staff, new city council, I think in turn that's going to relate to our officers on the street, our investigators in concerned divisions. I think when they'll see that, that's going to increase their drive to even work harder. So I really think the payoff for this is going to be an increased service, a better service, and hopefully the criminals that will be arrested will stay behind bars where they're right.
And we did a segment, 2 weeks ago, where you got Chief Fenner had a press conference on this big auto theft sting.
Right.
And they announced, 23 some odd arrests of individuals. So we went back and looked, at the old adage, like I've always said, you guys arresting someone, that's great. The bigger issue is what happens after they get arrested.
That is correct.
And that's where we took a good look, and we pulled the quotes from Chief Fenner from the press conference saying, now that we've got them, they need to stay in custody. Well, of course, when we went back and looked at it, because quote, the offenders are labeled as nonviolent.
Right, because it's a car theft.
Nonviolent offenders, and and that drives me up the wall how we put the labels on offenders, because I'm sure whether you agree or disagree, nonviolent offenders probably wreak more havoc.
They can disrupt your life. Yeah, you walk outside to go to work, all of a sudden their car is gone, and all these problems follow them.
It's a label when you say that nonviolent offenders, and we didn't know what their offense. That's not always the case. The Harris County deputy that was recently killed by people that were stealing this catalytic converter.
Yeah.
We actually had a Houston police officer, Henry Canales, years ago, was killed in an undercover operation by selling stolen equipment. And might I add that incoming city councilman Julian Ramirez was actually prosecuted that case when he was with the district attorney's office. So there are a lot of cases that potentially
they start out that way
and may be non-violent offenders,
and they progress.
And those are just two glaring incidents where non-violent offenders, they took the lives of sworn police officers in the state of Texas.
Of the 23, there were 8 that were released on bond.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 8, 4 were actually given PR bonds. Several of them are still wanted. Some of them had actually been convicted and sentenced to probation. A couple of them got very low prison sentences. But when you think about 8 out of 23 already out, and some of them just given a get out of jail free card again.
Yeah, it was like they just opened the doors that you could go now.
What kind of message is that sending?
Right.
33% of the people arrested are released. That's pretty discouraging for
Right.
citizens.
And if you're making money by committing crime, and then you're letting me out, what's going to stop me from going back to making money through crime?
When they see the opportunity, they can easily be released.
Yeah,
sometimes without having to post bond at all, like Eddie spoke of the PR bond.
yeah.
Personal recognizance, so they don't even have to go to a bail's bond. But
You just walk out the door.
it's in and out. So again, if I got away with it this time, let me see if I can do it again.
Yeah,
Which again increases the likelihood
And
that
it
they go
goes
return
back
that
to
same
an economic theory, risk
Absolutely.
versus reward.
right.
Little
Absolutely.
risk, a lot of rewards. And even if you're caught, pretty much you're going to get out real quickly, and even if you're convicted, it's going to be a very low sentence because it's labeled as a
Violent
nonviolent
crime.
crime.
Correct.
Hey, be sure to tonight's Breaking Bond. We're looking at something. We've never looked at this before, right? Really?
I've not seen it before.
Yeah, we're looking at human smuggling cases. And the most interesting thing about these two defendants that we're looking at, they're already out on bond.
One of them is.
One of them.
Right.
For smuggling in a different county. And they come to Harris County, pick up charges, and guess what? They get bond again.
Yep. So one of the guys that we're going to be featuring tonight, he doesn't know it, so we're not going to give out his name.
That's right.
Because we want him.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. He's a special guest
There
star.
you go.
But he is now out on 7 bonds, 4 for aggravated kidnapping in Harris County, in which he held his victims at gunpoint for ransom. Prior to that, he was already out on 3 counts of smuggling out of another county, including someone that was under the age of 18 as well. And guess what, folks? He's back in the community.
Ken, thank you so much for joining us. You come back anytime. Thank you all so much for watching this. And remember, be kind to yourself and everyone else. Thanks for watching. Bye.